2, 1. Yeah, we are live. Hello, 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 and welcome to Indie Comic Stream number 15. I'm your host, Doc Hogg, along with my co-host, our boy, Great Lott.
Howza?
It's nice to see everyone. We, at some point here, will be having Tonic Mole on to talk about his comic book, Saving the World, number 2. We are going to be also, we will be reviewing Aaron Calimeri's Cybershock.
No, we are renaming him Aaron Octopus.
Calimeri is squid, not octopus. You need to get your cephalopods right there, Mr. Great Lott.
Nope, sorry.
Yeah. All righty. Matt Garvey's Big F Off Worms. I guess it's not a family show, so I can just say it. Big Fuck Off Worms, which is something you can actually read right now by going to Twitter. Actually, there's a link to this cover page in his Twitter feed in the description below. You just start here, and he has another page of this comic book on every subsequent tweet, and so you can do that at any time. Don't have to buy this comic book. What else? Yeah, there's Matt Garvey. Okay, that's his Twitter feed. Like I said, there's a link in the description below, and we are going to have let me see if he's in the green room yet. Does not appear to be. We are supposed to have Tonic Mole to talk about Saving the World number 2. It is on Kickstarter. The link to that is also in the description below.
He actually has simultaneous campaigns on Indiegogo and Kickstarter.
Or he has Saving the World number 2 is on Indiegogo as well?
Yeah, and Kickstarter.
Okay, I did not realize it was on Indiegogo.
Yeah,
all right.
you can do them both at once now.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, I will have to provide a link to the Indiegogo later on. Something just moved down. No, it was not. Hello, Aaron. Nice to have you. Even though Jeremy insists that you are now Aaron Octopus, I keep telling him Calamari is squid, and it's not octopus.
I'm going to call him Octopi Wall Street.
Someone just refuses to learn his cephalopods properly. And here's Bianca Fights the Zombies. Thank you very much. Nice to see you as well. And okay, let's see here.
So yeah, says hello, hi to me. Are they saying hello or goodbye?
Well, the show just started, so I'm going to lean toward hello.
Okay.
If I had to bet money, do you want to bet any money?
I don't think so, because it seems like a good bet.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, by the way, it's 7 p.m. my time, which would make it what, 4 p.m. your time, Jeremy?
That's right. Correct.
What time is it in Mountain Time then?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, Mountain Time's only 1 hour ahead of yours.
Okay, so it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yes, it is. Oh shit. Forgot to hit the thing down a little too hard. Okay. All righty. Next up, just want to let you know I am closing in. Tilt is closing in on its $4,000 stretch goal. We ended the campaign on the 21st at 3707 and went for about, I think, 4 or 5 days without getting any. I think about 4 without getting any new backers, but then got just a quick burst, and we're at 3,800 now. And if you haven't backed it yet, you should do so. Once we hit the stretch goal, everybody will get a copy of 2 pinups. This is the first one. It is the Virgin version of the standard cover. And then there will be this, which is some fan art that was drawn for me by Archsider. And I took a look and I said, this is so good, I'd like to make it part of the stretch goal. And so he and I talked about a price. We agreed. And so now it is part of the stretch goal. So do back Tilt as soon as you can. And yeah, all righty. What else do we want to talk about here? Let's do a little bit of odd news before we get to the reviews.
Okay.
We'll start with this one.
and he decided to go out, have some Canada Dry ginger ale because it's refreshing, especially after you mow the fricking lawn. Oh, I'm tired, but it's okay. It's a good kind of tired. It's I just did something tired rather than like it's the end of a long day and I'm frustrated but I got to go, and I have no energy to do anything left tired. So, okay, having done that, what else shall I do?
I must have just had a boomer moment. I'm sorry. All righty.
You should see the secret I told everyone while you were off the air.
Well, it's recorded, so I can go back and look. All righty. Let's see here. All right, there's one. All righty, and I'll make sure I get all of this. Okay. All right. Let's try this again. Hopefully, I will not be having the boomer moment.
Clearly.
And let's see. All right. Share. Okay. Scientists say they went cuckoo due to laughing gas from penguin poo. Nitrous oxide pollution is no laughing matter, warned the scientists, who noted it as a significant greenhouse gas. But at least
I think they said it like this. It's a significant greenhouse gas.
Scientists have reported getting so high on the nitrous oxide emitted by penguin poo that it actually made them ill. The levels of nitrous oxide, more commonly known as laughing gas, given off by the colony's feces, was about 100 times higher than in a fertilized field. Professor Bo Elberling from the University of Copenhagen said the truly intense amount of nitrous oxide exhumed was enough to send someone completely cuckoo. Well, cuckoo too. It is truly intense, not because nitrous oxide is 300 times more polluting than CO2, he explained. After nosing about in the guano for several hours, one goes completely cuckoo. One begins to feel ill and get a headache. He added that nitrous oxide cylinders that you see lying in and floating around Copenhagen are no match for this heavy dose, which results from a combination of nitrous oxide with hydrogen sulfide and other gases. Nitrous oxide canisters are often sold legitimately for producing whipping cream, but they are also taken recreationally through a balloon, which users often let's see, with users often littering the small canisters. Now, I'm confused here. Is it the nitrous oxide or the whipped cream that they bring to the bathroom?
I don't know.
Or to the beach. Inquiring minds want to know. All righty. Where is Tonic Mole? He is not here. Okay. What is?
So I think the moral of the story is we need to kill all the penguins for the environment.
Yeah, I think that's a good moral. I could agree with that. All righty. Here's another good one. This was actually from a while back. It is Oregon police remind residents.
Wait. Stop. Okay. I think they need to do a movie about the penguin poo, and they need to call it Crappy Feet.
Will Morgan Freeman be will he be narrating?
God, I hope so. I think I'm alone now. Are you there, Doc?
Yeah, I'm here. Are you there?
Okay. Yeah, I can I see the image, but nothing else.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what's going on. Yeah, there we go. Okay. For some reason I am only able to view this now at
I can see it fine.
No, it's not that. It's okay, there we go. That's better. All righty. Oregon police remind residents don't call 911 if you run out of toilet paper. All right, this article is funny enough, but he says, please, for God's sakes, don't panic if you run out. That, at least, is the earnest request of the police department in Newport, Oregon. Now, here is actually the best part of this, not actually the article. Let me just bring it up here. This is the actual Facebook post that they are taking it from. And this is a gem. Let me enlarge this here. Let's see. All righty. How's that look?
Looks good.
All righty. It's hard to believe that we even have to post this. Do not call 911 just because you ran out of toilet paper. You will survive without our assistance. In fact, history offers many other options for you in your time of need. If you cannot find a roll of your favorite soft, ultra plush, 2-ply citrus scented tissue. Seamen used old rope and anchor lines soaked in salt water. Ancient Romans used a sea sponge on a stick, also soaked in salt water. We are a coastal town. We have an abundance of salt water available. Seashells were also used. Mayans used corn cobs. Colonial Americans also used the core of the cob. Oh, that's a new game I'll have to try. I mean, never mind. Farmers not only use corn cobs, but use pages from the Farmer's Almanac. Many Americans took advantage of the numerous...
Did they use the pages where it predicted weather that didn't come true?
Many Americans took advantage of the numerous pages torn from free catalogs such as Sears and Roebuck. The Sears Christmas catalog, 4 times thicker than the normal catalog, could get a family of 3 wiped clean from December through Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day if they were frugal.
Well, that was when they had outhouses, though. You know, like you can't really flush catalogs as easily.
Well, they might. I don't know. Yeah, but they might be. They might still. Yeah, but the question these days is, are they biodegradable? I don't know.
Everything, like my theory is that everything is biodegradable, and that they just say it's not to mess with us.
All righty. Hang on here. Tonic Mole is still not with us. Oh well.
I wonder if he got the wrong hour.
It is what it is, I suppose. All right. Then, of course, there are always alternatives to toilet paper: grocery receipts, newspaper, cloth rags, lace, cotton balls, and that empty toilet paper roll sitting on the holder right now. Plus, there are a variety of leaves you can safely use. Mother Earth News magazine will even tell you how to make your own wipes using 15 different leaves. When all else fails, you have magazine pages. Start saving those catalogs you get in the mail that you usually toss in the recycle bin. Be resourceful. Be patient. There is a TP shortage. This too shall pass. Just don't call 911. We cannot bring you toilet paper.
I will point out that in jail, you get free toilet paper. So.
Boy, they really knew about all these alternatives. I mean, some serious research went into this.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was hands-on research.
Oh.
All righty.
I hope not with the corn cob. I really hope not.
That was cool. All righty, Jeremy, we're going to play a little game. It's called Can You Read Their Lips game here. Okay.
Just a second here. All right. Well, let me get back to it.
Okay. I'm going to bring out the screen. Okay, this is a game between the Chicago Cubs and the St. Louis Cardinals. Dusty Baker was then manager of the Cubs. Tony La Russa was manager of the Cardinals. So now let's take a look here and see if we can figure out. We can read their lips and figure out what they're saying.
Your pitcher's not hurt. That should be the end of that for the moment. And we'll go from there.
Okay, what did he just say there, Jeremy?
I have no idea.
Some hostility.
What did he just say there?
I am the world's worst lip reader.
Probably not deciding where they're going to have dinner.
What did he just say there?
I think he dropped an F-bomb.
No, you are wrong. The professional lip reader will explain it to us now.
For those of you who read lips, he's saying, I'm not having a fine time.
See, he was saying he's not having a fine time.
Clearly, that's what he was saying.
Yes, very much so. Okay, well, we're still waiting for. I heard the writer of Cybershock is super hot. Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah.
Are you? The ladies in the audience want to know if you're available, Aaron. Well, you can get back to us on that one. Okay.
Wait,
let's move on.
Maybe he's otherwise occupied.
Oh God, I'm going to throw up before this show's over. Oh yes, and also we will be having Phyllis Schlafly. She will be making an appearance.
He keeps threatening that she's no longer extant. She has joined the Choir Invisible. How is she going to join us, Doc?
Are those ways of saying that she's dead?
Yes.
Well, that would be an obstacle for a lesser show, Jeremy. But she will be making an appearance.
All right. In what? Through her cousin's beer?
Why do you have so little faith in me? Why do you have such little faith in me?
I mean, a hologram?
And why do you have such little faith in me? I mean, it should just be enough that I say that she will be appearing, and you just trust me that I've got it right. Okay, let's bring up, which one do you want to do first? You want to do Cybershock, or you want to do Big Fuck Off Worms?
We got the gun show here. It's his book. Let's do that one first.
All righty. Let's start with Cybershock. All righty.
And I would say I unfortunately had to clean a bunch of stuff recently. I would show my copy of Cybershock, including a sketch card that looks really cool along with it. I was very happy to back and get this book, and he's got a new campaign out called, with a great name. It's called More Lethal.
Yeah.
Do you want your comics to be less lethal or more lethal?
Well, when I did a promo for this on one of my YouTube videos, and he sent me a good portion of this. In fact, may have just let me have a sneak peek of the entire script. But he also sent me the one it was a outer space one that he did prior, and you could see that which did not get funded, unfortunately, but you could see the improvement from that one to this one a lot.
Sure, and but the next one is called More Lethal.
Well,
it's funding right now.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just that this was really good.
Yeah, the one that didn't get funded was called Extractors, I believe.
Yeah, that is correct. I think, yeah, it was, and but no, this was quite good, and it basically starts out with this. Well, we'll point to the woman here. Her name is Siren X. And she has discovered this company called Cybershock Industries is creating some kind of program that's going to be able to control all the soldiers under its command. This company is into basically taking people, cutting them up, turning them into these super soldiers, and they've now come up with something they can actually control their brains. And so she has decided to take off and split. And this other gent by the name of Rondell comes after her. They fight, and she wins the fight, you think, and then tells Rondell, what's going on, why she's trying to escape, and then other soldiers of Cybershock Industries come after them, and they get into a fight with them as well. She gets hit, and then all of a sudden, Rondell is picking her up, and all of a sudden this. He gets this message, all right, that's enough. Shut this down, Ron. And he throws her down to the ground and basically, I don't know if he actually mortally wounds her, but he wounds her very, very badly. And you get to the scene where one of the some sort of medic comes out, and basically it was a whole setup to test her to see if she would be a proper test subject for the software. And that's basically how it ends, where she has now become the the test subject for the
So they sort of
soft-
fixed the glitch at the end of it.
Yeah, and you really did not see the twist coming.
Sure.
I mean, you were getting kind of absorbed in it, and you didn't see the twist coming, and it was really it was well done. I mean, you get absorbed in this comic.
Yeah.
And I like, next issue, Siren X Unleashed. So there's going to be more. I'm looking forward to that. Now, if there was one problem I had with this comic, it was some of the lettering.
Sure.
Before I go on to that, I also want to say that I liked how very artful they were here in covering up the naughty bits. I have to admit that took a little bit.
It kind of reminds me of like in Austin Powers, where he's going around naked, and they manage to, fly something in front of him every time to keep the naughty bits covered.
Yeah, this was rather clever. You have the mechanical, arms here, and then when the doctor's arm is over the other one. I have to admit that was clever. This was the one problem with some of the lettering, like this page here. This is not quite. But even if I bring it up a little bit close to what it would be actual comic book size, I'm having to bring it right up to my face to read this script.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll show one more that was a little tough to read, was this page here, where he's trying to do it with, like you're looking at kind of a somewhat fuzzy computer screen, but the effect is such that you have to keep looking at it to actually see what it says. And there were a few instances like that. So, but that's not something, particularly hard to fix. You just need to, the letterer needs to work on it a little bit.
When this is collected, they should remaster the lettering.
Okay. Yeah. What were your thoughts on it?
Okay, there was a couple of things. I have, no offense, Doc, but I have better eyesight than you do.
Oh,
yeah, and so I can. Usually that doesn't bug me. It didn't in this case. The coloring, there were some genre considerations that I had here that so this is a cyberpunk type story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there were a couple of things, and it's like really dark. The coloring is really dark. Mm-hmm. In a way that I thought it's almost like muddy, and sometimes that effect worked and sometimes it didn't. There were some pages that look really great with it, and other pages that just look kind of dark and not as distinguished as it could have been. So I didn't like that. The other thing, this is not a thing I didn't like. This was fine. It just took me a while. They have the like description sheets of the characters, right? And their full page descriptions. And they're actually kind of important plot points in the story. And I'm used to description sheets, being something that you can kind of refer to, and that's nice, but not being actually, an important part of the story. Mm-hmm. But I think in sort of a cyberpunk type thing, that's actually, it's not as, it can be more standard for that sort of thing to be a part of the story. Mm-hmm. And so, but it took me a while to go, well, does that work? And then I decided, well, yeah, that actually did work.
Okay.
So I agree with you. The lettering issues. Okay. He's working on it.
We got a lot of great feedback. We knew there were issues, but it was late on the book and ultimately chose to run it. Hey, I get that. It happens.
Yeah.
Okay,
you're always going to have some trade-offs. You're never going to put out a perfect book.
No.
There's always some trade-offs between, do we hold it and make it better and better and better, or do we get it out there, as at our reasonable best that we can do right now to get it to you on time. Totally understood.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So yeah, no, it was a good book. I did not, I always know that you've got something good when I don't see the twist coming, and
That's
I
true.
really didn't. I thought this was going to be something where, they're trying to escape and they're going to make it. And then whoops, and I think, gosh, did I have one? Let me see if there was one other thing. There was something that I had about the twist slightly that was. Maybe, and this is kind of maybe a little more subjective personal preference, but maybe instead, all right, that's enough. Shut this down, Ron. just pull that out and have him suddenly attack her. And so when you hit to the twist, you're kind of like, what the heck is going on here? And then have something come in saying, Ron, okay, that's enough. Don't damage her anymore. We're coming, something like that. So then the remark comes in to let them know that, let the reader know, okay, this has been a setup. I mean, the way he did it is fine. Yeah. I'm just suggesting you could maybe do it a little differently. And again, it's just subjective. You could, some people like it this way, some people like it other way. It's just something to consider. You could have a twist with a what the fuck is going on moment, and then all of a sudden, okay. So
I think at the very least you'd want it to be so he got some. Even if you don't reveal the communique, you want to indicate there was some kind of external thing telling him something that he's responding to.
I can see that point.
Something. I do think that's kind of that I do think it's important to note. I think it would be too weird for him just to completely flip without any kind of a direction. Knowing that there was some sort of direction coming.
Yeah. I mean, what you could have put is just the word. You could have put the word in his ear. Okay, we're ready. Something like that. Okay, we're ready, or something. It
could even have been a sound effect that just so you knew that there was some kind of
something like that. But anyway, okay. The dark coloring is my fault. Hey, I've just sent off the print order for my comic books. It's going to be interesting to see how that comes out. And I've already looked over the pages, and I've seen like one or two little errors that and I saw them about a week ago. But by that point, it's too late to really. You're far enough along that you just have to make those sacrifices. And so hey, I mean, on balance, you got most of this right, Aaron. And that's a good point about the twist. I never thought. Hey, it's not.
I'm really looking forward to it.
I am too. The Cybershock was a lot of fun, and it's one of those nice comics that's it's quick. You kept the story concise, to the point, and it was a good read. It was a lot of fun.
Yep.
So keep at it.
Yeah,
alrighty.
I'm very happy to have backed and pushed that book.
Yeah. Me as well. Alrighty, let's go to the Tonic Mole said that he was running late, so let's move on to big F-off
worms.
I enjoyed this as well, and it is a lot like it's like Aaron's in that it is kind of short, to the point. It goes straight in, and I enjoyed it. I mean, the humor is good in this. And why don't you tell us a little bit about the plot, and I'll go through a few pages.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say my judgment in advance is it's a great setup and you can't beat the price. So the idea is, and this is a thing, he puts a little note in that this actually happened, that at one point, like, I don't know, NASA or someone who was sending something into space sent worms into space. Mm-hmm. To kind of, they always send animals into space to figure out how zero gravity affects them, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, they have to use up those taxpayer dollars. They don't want that. They don't want to have extra in their budget at the end of the year. Then they face cuts. So
sure.
You got to put the worms in, put the mice in, put the chimpanzees in, put the ants in. It's all been sent to space.
Well, I mean, yeah. So, anyways, they send us to space, and it's exposed to a certain amount of radiation, or it crashes. There's some sort of a thing in space that happens,
mm-hmm.
And the thing crashes back to Earth, and the worms not only survive, but they've mutated, and they're this radiation that they brought back to Earth with them, and it kind of they kind of remind you of a lot of different sort of horror movie things, but Tremors would be one of the things that they remind you of.
Yeah, that was certainly one thing. Although the nice thing about this is there's actually an origin story, a backstory here. Unlike Tremors, it's just like they came out of nowhere. And that's actually fine. It didn't work that badly for Tremors. I mean, they got right into the action.
In that case, they were prehistoric creatures.
That's what they didn't really specify
in the first
that.
One.
No, they speculated. Okay,
Okay.
I mean, but fair enough. Here they have a little backstory, and it's it's not a particularly original one, but so what? It worked here.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, all right, that works. And
The other
so you
thing
have.
sorry, you
Go ahead.
All
No,
right.
no, you.
So this guy's name here that you see here, facing off against this worm, his name is Petey.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the last man on Earth. That is not to say that there are not other beings, but all the humans have mutated into animal-human hybrids, and he has the suit on to keep him from turning into an animal-human hybrid.
Yes. And here's one of the animal-human hybrids. I don't think we ever found out what this guy's name was.
It was Darren.
Was it Darren? Okay, because I was looking for it right
It's either Darren or Daryl.
I don't remember that, but I was looking for it before the show, but couldn't find it. But glad you remembered. Okay. So yeah, and the nice thing, his weakness, Petey's weakness is that he's cocky. Cocky to the point of sometimes being overconfident at times. So there's little moments when he should have thought things through a little bit better, or or prepared a little better. And it like. For example, here, he's going after this worm and realizes, wait, this thing is further away than I thought, and he's trying to run toward it with all this heavy equipment on and carrying everything. And so basically the guy, Darren or Daryl, is telling him to, roll to the side as this worm comes down, and he makes it. And so he lets the worm swallow him. And once inside, he blows it up, kind of like a la what was Men in Black.
Mm-hmm.
And so it and then oh crap, I didn't think this through, and he's fallen to the ground. Whoops.
Yeah, this huge thing that's protruding out of the earth that I've now opened up a hole in the middle of is going to take me down with it.
Mm-hmm. So, alrighty, and let's see, how much later is he going to be? Okay. Let's go to the next page, and here he is. He's gotten some sort of box out of the worm.
Yeah.
And they're talking about what it is, and ultimately Petey thinks it has something to do with mind control of the worm, because he's noticed that the giant worms have a brain exactly the same size, not proportionally in proportion, actually the same size as an earthworm. Yeah. I don't even know, do earthworms even have brains?
Let's just say they do.
All right.
They have some kind of a nervous something that would you might call a brain. I don't know.
Fair enough. And anyways,
and so he's like, but wait, so if that's the case, then why are they attacking and destroying cities? That's not, earthworms don't maliciously attack things, So what's going on here?
Okay. All right. Yeah. And what am I? Yeah. So, and then there is some sort of, that you get a glimpse into some kind of cave or something here where there is someone who seems to be actually doing that. We never actually get a glimpse of him.
I love how Inspector Gadget this is.
Yeah. And he tells his henchmen, and go out and get this guy. And at the end, they're not only, Petey leaves Darren and the other guys, and these guys are on their way to kill the Darren and the other guys. They don't want to leave any witnesses. And this is where the cliffhanger is. Yeah. I really enjoyed this. I can't find any serious flaws that he needs to correct. The only thing I would like is it works fine as the black and white. I would actually like to see it as a color, though. I particularly given the coloring of the cover. And I kind of hope that, maybe I'm guessing kind of what he's doing is giving this one away for free and hopefully getting enough, eyes on it that they'll be interested in crowdfunding the next issue. you know, and you know, I'd like to see him do that if it meant that he could color this. So at any rate, I did enjoy this a great deal, and you know, there's a link to it in the description below, where you can just start new reading, and it's a quick read, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so Doc and I, we each pick a book, and I had another book in mind this week, and then it was not going to pair well with Cybershock, and I said, no, we need big F-off worms, because that's the only thing I can think of that would just do really well alongside that. So, you know, that's what we ended up doing here. Matt Garvey he's a writer. He's from Britain, and he's written just tons of cool comics. I bought a bunch of them from him and read them, and man, he's just he always swings through the fence, and he often hits it a home run.
Yeah. All righty. Well, Tonic Mole said he will be there coming on in a second. Last message I got from him, and hopefully he will be here shortly. Well, in the meantime, then I guess we can bring on Phyllis Schlafly. Sorry.
Okay. Have you frozen up, Doc? Is the ghost of Phyllis Schlafly going to appear? There's two of you. Now there's only one.
Now there's only one. And I'm actually not having a boomer moment. That is what happened the previous time, and it just happened again. For some reason, when I click on share audio on the thing, it does not. My whole browser craps out. So let's try this again. Hopefully with better results.
Okay.
All right. All right. Now, yeah. Have you watched? I don't know if you have Hulu, but have you watched the Mrs. America series on there?
I guess the question is, has anyone paid me to watch it?
Well, I started binge watching it the other night, and which was kind of a mistake in the sense not of actually watching it, but binge watching it. And overall, it is quite good. And the feminists, Steinem, Friedan, Abzug, all of them actually come off worse than Schlafly does, much worse, because they're constantly bickering and infighting, and they have all these petty jealousies. But, and this is, I think, what the producers and the writers are doing, is that they are making it look like the only reason the Equal Rights Amendment lost is because they were infighting and were not as unified as Schlafly was, and that that Schlafly actually didn't have any coherent argument against the Equal Rights Amendment, and that all the logic and reason was coming from the pro side. And that's actually what I'm going to show here, because I want to show here, and this is fascinating because there was this clip in, you'll see it here in a minute, in the show about a debate between Brenda Fastow and her husband, whose name Mike Fastow, was that and they were on the Tom Schneider show with Phyllis Schlafly and her husband Fred, debating the ERA.
All right.
And I saw this, and I'm like, I've seen enough clips of Phyllis Schlafly to think that this did not happen, because the way Cate Blanchett is playing her here, she does not look prepared for this debate. We'll show it, and I will say this: I have not seen the full debate. I have not been able to track it down yet. So all we've got here is basically this Eagle Forum debunking video. But I suspect Eagle Forum's not making this stuff up. I mean, simply because, you know, what they did to Schlafly. I mean, it's really, you know, it's Hollywood, and it's really kind of disgusting what they did here. So
We're not going to play all 12 minutes, right?
No. I'm moving it ahead to 8:02 so we can see the actual clip from the show, and then we can move to what actually happened.
Watch.
I mean, the courts would decide, as they did with a recent Washington, D.C. case, where 3 children were given to the father, and the mother had to pay child support.
What was the name of the
say
case?
That was an advance for women. But the larger issue is that the ERA erodes the institution of marriage, not
Cite
just in
the
divorce.
case.
The case? Well, I'd have to look it up. But the point is...
You don't know the name of the case?
Well, there's so many cases. We don't have time to cite them all.
Just cite
we don't
the
have
one
time
case.
to cite them
Just
all.
name this one case.
The point is, if everything must be equal, and the logical extension of the ERA is that we would have a gender-neutral
You
society.
have scared the women of America into believing something that is not based in reality. But when you argue an actual point in the real world in a court of law, you need to cite a case to support your argument, so cite the case.
Well, I think it was Foley versus Langham or Lancaster, something like that.
No, there is no such case.
Oh, yes, there is. But you see...
Did you just make up the
I'm
case?
not a lawyer. No, I'm the wife of a lawyer. And I really do think that's more fun.
Well,
And
listen,
get
I doubt
tired
we're going to get
of
to
the
agree on this at all.
There is
Right?
no
So we should just
hang on
move
fact.
on.
The fact is, there is no Foley versus Langham case. Also, a fact is that you are not really a housewife.
It's pure fabrication.
All right. So that was the scene, and I had to admit, right after seeing that, I was damn suspicious. Now, there actually was an exchange kind of like this in the debate, which we're going to see here in a minute. It was between Brenda Fastow was involved in it, but it was between Brenda and Fred Schlafly. And here is what actually happened, and I'll just preface it by saying this is how utterly irresponsible Hollywood is at times. It is shot. Well, we'll just watch it here.
Thin air. Watch for yourself on this clip.
Many lending institutions count a woman's income only for half of what it is if she is married and between the ages of 20 and 44 and cannot show that she has been sterilized. Okay, that goes for banks, that goes for department stores.
Are you saying that they inquire if women are sterilized?
Absolutely.
There's any place that does that. There's any place that does
What I
that.
would
They
like
ask also
You
about
name one place that does that.
they do.
Just name one. Give me the name of one institution that does that.
I'd like to continue. There's a bank in Queens. I'm not going to name the name.
No, you're not. But I don't think there is. I've never heard of one.
Yeah, but this wouldn't be a plug. If there is any institution in this country that does that, it then becomes a major news event, which, if that is the case, I can guarantee you will be a front-page story on even the New York Times.
Let me just lay it out. I mean, this is the trouble.
Why don't you just give us the name and address of that place?
They're horrible.
I mean, Fred Schlafly.
I mean, yeah, that's what happened. Brenda Fastow was the one making shit up. and you know, I mean, it's just, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I really shouldn't be surprised, but, you know, but you know,
look, I mean, look, it's not good art in this sense that if anyone knows anything about Phyllis Schlafly, whether or not you agree with her, she was a hit woman.
Oh yeah.
Like she went in, she had her ammo, and she drilled down on her target. And
you debate. Yeah, you very much debated her at your own risk because she was prepared. She had a.
There are a number of people that I wouldn't want to debate, and she's one of them. So.
Yeah, I mean, her, Thomas Sowell, I wouldn't want to debate him either. Milton Friedman. I mean, yeah, she had this. I want to say a snap trap mind, but that's not the term that I'm looking for here. But it's like that. It was.
I'm going to go with a well-loaded rifle.
Something like that. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, no, it's not unbelievable. Hollywood does this crap all the time.
Sure,
and look,
I'm just, look, you're saying it's a travesty, and I'm saying it's bad art, and I think, sure, it's both.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, go ahead.
We talk about some good art because Tonic Mole is in the building.
Okay, all right.
I made it.
Hey,
all righty. Do you have a screen to share, or should I just bring up? Do you want me to bring up, or do you want me to bring up one of your pages, your internet page?
Yeah, just the crowdfunding or something.
Which one do you want, Kickstarter or Indiegogo?
Indiegogo maybe has more.
All right, let's give me just a second to find it here.
How Indiegogo can you go? Tonic, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
And it's sort of a personal question, but it's also a public question.
Okay.
How did you come up with the name Tonic Mole?
Oh, it was like a gamer tag, like from 20 years ago or something. That's kind of how it started. It was like random. Oh, wait, hold on. No, that's not true at all.
Okay.
It was a song I wrote when I was 15 or something.
Okay.
It was this, I can't remember the melody, or is this Tonic Mole coming out of his hole. And so the whole idea was that it was this drunk, rabid, insane mole that like would come out of the ground and like overthrow the world.
Okay.
And so that's how it became my gamer tag. Then I started making mods and stuff using that same name. And it becomes so prevalent that everybody knew me as Tonic Mole.
Yeah.
It was pointless trying to use my real name.
That makes sense. I think that for a stretch goal for number 3, if you reach X amount of money, you should sing Tonic Mole song publicly.
That's right.
Well, that could be, when you think, it could be a stretch goal. You know, you could add that and say, if I make X amount, I will publicly sing this song.
$1 million, I will publicly sing this song.
That's right. Well, see, that's not so unlike the mini comic, because when I did Saving the Universe #1, I was like just really amped, and I felt that those stories needed to accompany it, or people wouldn't understand what the whole gist is. And but it was a terrible idea because it costs a lot of money and a lot of time, because I hadn't written or drawn Wepawet yet until like in the middle of the campaign or something. And and so this time around, I tried not to do that by saying, with $3,000, then I'll get a mini comic, because I was very confident I would not make it.
Yeah.
And but then I went and expanded it to 40 pages, which is still like, it's no big, like adding pages don't cost a lot. I do have to draw those.
Yeah.
I wrote the script the next day after I said I was going to do it, because I know roughly, I'll figure it out. But I wrote the script, so I got that wrote, but I'm still polishing up the main issue. But I mean, that gives me my deadline hasn't changed. It was next month. It was July is the deadline to ship. Okay. It'll still be way ahead of that, because it'll go to print pretty much when the money goes through, which is 15 days after. I can't actually ship until then anyway. I'd hope to have it printed like now, and just start packing them, and so I could ship them out the second that 15 days is up. But then I feel like all of the reviews said, "Oh, Lily and Wepawet, this really changed it." I was like, I can't. And then I decided, like, you know, moving into stores and stuff, I can change things, because I'll have to do second prints and stuff. And I was like, okay, so now the second print of Saving the World #1 will have part 1 of Lily and Wepawet added, so it'll be 40 pages.
Okay.
And now #2 will also have the next iteration, and it won't always be Lily and Wepawet, but they'll instead of Saving the Universe, I basically said I ain't going to do that no more. Instead, every issue will have 8 extra pages that will be a short in that tone and stuff. Cool. So that's a plan going forward.
Yeah, it's a good plan. Talk to me about getting into stores. You've just gone to your local comic shop and said, carry this, or what's going on?
Yeah, and then I talk it up a lot. So I went to just my local store. I had planned on, there's one that's like 20 minutes away, 45 minutes away, and just kind of spanning out. The whole plan was to do that right now, then pandemic. So the only one I could really do is the one that's the local one that I kind of grew up in. And and he said, well, you know, no comics are coming in, so not a lot of customers. But
so basically, like, Marvel and DC's loss was your gain.
Kind of, but he put them out when DC or one of them finally shipped, because he knew that's when the customers will show up.
Yeah.
And so he put them out. And I mean, of course, you should always go do your local at least, because, I sold quite a few. I think it's 30 or 40 issues in like 2 or 3 days. Just locally, because people are excited to support local comic book artists and stuff. And and of course he put it all over the place, because he ended up only getting like 3 or 4 issues new, so everybody comes in and it's like, oh,
well, there's not much new, but we have Saving the World.
That's right. And so and I hope to, once the pandemic thing, which I'm in Oklahoma, so that it never really was really bad necessarily. But so it'll probably be when I have time. Time is more the problem now, because I got a lot of comic to do. But I'll more nearby stuff. And then there's a few people in other states. So like I'm hoping by the end of the year, it's a bit random, but my local, which is Oklahoma, Kansas, maybe some like parts of Arkansas, just by the end of the year. And then northern Texas would be the next step after that, which will be a bit more tricky. That's a large area, Dallas and stuff like that. I'm hoping to get into there. And then I have people who see if they can get it in their locals, like Utah. And then like me and Doug are thinking about trading. So we get each other's comics in each other's local stores, stuff like that.
You're talking about Doug Garrett?
Yeah, Doug Garrett.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of Dougs, to be fair. Yeah. But so I'm kind of rolling it out slow, but and sometimes I think some people go, well, if I only sell 20 issues, but depending where I live in Oklahoma, I don't have to make a lot to survive solely off of a comic book. And so every little 20 issues is a big deal for me. That gets me far closer to my goal of being able to just do Saving the World. So I can it'll probably never be, I wanted to do a monthly. Yeah. That's impossible with how many pages I want. I'd have to go to 20 like normal people. Yeah. But I can't tell a good story in 20. It's hard enough. Like right now, my stories really hash out around 25 or 26 pages.
Yeah. Doc, the Tilt, how many pages was it on First Cut?
You mean before we edited it down?
Yeah.
I probably was around 36 pages before I cut it down to 32.
Yeah, he did some pretty sharp trimming to get it there.
Yeah. And so when I read, I don't read a lot of comics, ironically, but the ones I do, that especially like mainstream stuff, I'm just like, you can't tell tell a story worth $3.99 in 20 pages. Unless it's really cartoony, which I mean, Saving the World, I probably could if I really hammed it up more. I don't want to ham it up that much, but I think it's humanly possible. But they're not telling that. They're trying to tell superhero sci-fi, and I think that's a lot. Like I pick up one and read it and go, I probably won't come back. Well, I never do, but there's those few that pull it off. The fact that I could name them off the top of my head is a problem, when it comes to mainstream. Like, there was that Power Girl run, Grant Morrison's New X-Men, so on and so forth. Those super powerful runs that I love. But the vast majority, I've always felt 20. For the modern way they're telling, it's the streaming service type of. I've been talking a lot to, my wife, she's also writes, and we've been talking about formats of stories. And in comic books, it's a lot more prevalent, where you see these different ways of doing it. Used to they do these real short like templates for stories. So like 6 pages, they could tell a Batman story, and so they'd tell like 3 or 4 of them. And Then by the 70s with the Silver Age, it was one story, still short form, but they took the whole comic, so 20 or 20 some pages. Nowadays, their stories have expanded, which in theory should be good. So they just tell it in parts like a streaming series, kind of like Daredevil told one story. It just took that whole season to tell it. And I feel the only problem is when you're getting snippets of a story, you think about how much a comic book story costs you when it's 6 issues at $3.99, and it's not. Rarely are you like blown away by this.
So it's $24.
Exactly.
Plus tax.
Right. And so you wait for the trade because you get a little cheaper and it's easier to read. Yeah. And that has caused this kind of growing problem, which Saving the World, I hope to get to. Solving, like in my ways, trying to solve that. I feel like Saving the World #2 addresses that much, much better. Saving the World #1 was me desperately trying to stay afloat for the narrative. Yeah. And reviews have come far more positive than I thought. Even I see people like someone says something negative about their comic and they're infuriated. Me, if I hear one positive thing, I'm like, wow, I'm big time now. But, you know, that first one was, I had to get that origin out. And so I wanted to start from scratch, but I couldn't because I knew I would just, at some point, you've got to just tell yourself, you got to move forward. You'll always become better. And so you'll always go, wait, I can do this better. Well, yeah, you always could. So at some point, the ship's got to sail. And so I was like, okay, I think this #1 had it like me. I was like, maybe the comedy and the characterization will be enough that people will give me a pass on that. There's no specific structure. Like there's kind of a first, second, and third act, but not specifically. It's kind of random. Mm-hmm. Whereas #2, and some of the art was uneven because I drew it randomly over the years. And then I added new pages with more of my modern art style. I was also learning how to use Procreate because I always drew physically. And so I was using an iPad and all that. So, you know, there was so much to learn doing that first issue that the second one is where I'm really hoping that brings it together. It feels like it. The art is consistent. The script I actually wrote and got it refined long before I just started drawing the thing. The first one I had a rough script, but it was all thrown out. Mm-hmm. And so the second one, I'm really hoping that takes off. Where people can see a more cohesive what I'm trying to do with telling you a full story in 26 or 28 pages. So you feel like, well, I feel someone could buy #2 and not read #1. It would be totally fine. It's better if they do, but it's not necessary. And that was when I was a kid. I would just buy a Batman comic. I didn't buy 2 years worth to get an idea. I just bought one and loved it. And I'd read it 5 or 6 times.
So tell us a little bit about the campaign here and about some of like this page here. Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Okay. So this is somewhat an introduction of Kira and Nora. A lot of the setups for the stories at least for a while, they hang out on the roof of their comic book store. It's the comic book store Kira is in the first one. Mm-hmm. They hang out on top with a radio scanner, just look like waiting for something to get called in. And then they go and try to help. And this is their first encounter with someone like them that has superpowers. And so, you know, the first issue you saw her lift a car and she, you know, used her muscles a little. Whereas this, you see both Kira and Nora in full untrained combat. So it's kind of stage 1 of how them becoming superheroes. And so, you know, they start out, they'll never be the most serious superheroes, but they will be far more serious, I think, than people are assuming at this this juncture. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so that's kind of the setup there.
All right. Yeah, this is where they're coming across the guy?
Exactly. That's where the first page, I mixed up the pages, but the first page there is them talking on the rooftop, which I use that in a lot of my scripts to move their story arcs forward while still having an action-packed bad guy. Them talking on the rooftop. In this issue, it's a lot of joking and setting up their characterization, like how they behave. Because I felt in the first one, I roughly got it, but I needed more of how they bounce off of each other. And so it's just them gossiping, really, for the first 3 or 4 pages on that rooftop. And then they go and they hear something on the radio, and they go to the address and come across the action already in progress. And that on that top panel of that first page, that's actually the comic book store, my local one. It's Hall of Heroes. I changed the name to Hall of Legends, I think, whatever it is. But
okay. Well, tell us about some of the tiers here.
Yes. Okay. First one's obviously digital, so you get the PDF when the comic's done, and that will be it'd probably be the 15th or 16th of July.
Okay.
No, I mean June, this month.
Oh, all right.
Wait, what month is it?
It's
May?
Still May.
June. I put July in case things went horrible. Then the physical, you get that, and the physical comic, and then you get the Sashi cover is only going to be for crowdfunding. There'll be a Monk cover for second printing. So I will sell off the rest of the ones that I print, all of that. But so Monk will have a cover that will kind of keep the consistency because he's on the first and third. And so the Sashi is kind of an exclusive thing because actually a lot of people were half confrontational when they're like, is this unique? Like, is there something about these first prints? Which is already in my head. I know that, as a collector myself, it's important. And so that was something I wanted to, the crowdfunding, no matter what I do in physical stores or Comic-Cons and stuff, they get something that's very special and unique. Everything else will be, something different. But, and so, yeah, that you get the physical.
All right.
And that digital catch-up bundle, so if someone hasn't read it before, you can get 1, 2, and Saving the Universe #1.
All right. And same with the physical catch-up bundle?
Exactly. You get the physical comics.
Cool.
I see boobies.
Yeah. And here's what I'm going to say. This would be the time because in hindsight, I was like, a lot of other guys that Jimmy Palmiotti and Brian Pulido and stuff like that do these not safe for work variants. And in fact, my wife, I thought about it and go, maybe not. And then my wife was like, you should do that. I was like, whatever. So, and I have the Kickstarter has a different one, and it's like a 3D rendered one. And then this one is I just drew it. And I probably won't do them again. It's not that it's like offends my soul or something, but in hindsight, it feels like it don't totally match what I'm doing. Kind of that weird
so it'll be a collector's edition.
Exactly. Now's the time to get it.
All right. What's in the ultimate bundle?
Okay, that is the that's just the physical of Saving the World #2 and with the variant included. So if you wanted both covers, that's the one.
All right. And the ultimate catch-up bundle is
everything.
Everything.
Including, and it ended, originally I had some variants on #1. I had the Sailor Rogowski and then the Nora. But the way Kickstarter and Indiegogo works makes it super complicated I'd had to have had like so many more tiers to give people the different options they needed. And so, and I had a limited number. So I'd had to have figured out how to tell people when I ran out and all this type of junk. And I was like, I think I just won't do the first issue's variants. So you get the 3 major issues and then the current variant.
Okay. All righty. Anything else you want to tell us? This is it's looking really good.
Yeah, I got to update my little. We reached a $2,000 stretch goal. We're at 2,200 combined ish.
Outstanding.
Oh yeah, I guess a little more than that because we're at 1,200 on Indiegogo, and Kickstarter set stagnant, shockingly stagnant for a very long time. Which I always know that you plateau in the middle and then you get that final deal. It was a little more than I anticipated because it was at 777 for like 2 weeks, and I was like, come on. And now it's catching up with Indiegogo, so I'm pretty happy with that. That's what because I'm lots of experiments of how all this works with I did Indiegogo for the number 1 month, and then I waited a little bit, like a week or so, and then I kicked off the Kickstarter for number 1, and it grossed like 2,600 roughly or something like that. So my curiosity was, could I just do them at the same time, because I want to release these comics faster, not to where, that'd make it to where an issue would come out every 3 months, and that was longer than I wanted to wait to release issues. So I hoped I could Kickstart and Indiegogo at the same time. I got mixed messages, and so I'll probably do it the same next time. I'm gonna wait a month though, in between, so that all of the Saving the World number 2s are shipped and good to go, and I'll have to start on the comic so that I have this head start before I get into it. So, but at 22 or 23, there's still 5 days. We'll see how that goes. It's pretty close to the 2-month tally, so it does kind of seem like you can. And then
you could very well beat your original tally.
Yeah, it's still and I looked at the dates. It is that Kickstarter stayed at like 400 for a long time and ended up beating Indiegogo on that issue 1's campaign. So yeah, you really can't call these things until, because that final day, it's amazing how much traffic you get. And I kind of think it's you love every customer, but you do go, could you not do the last day? It's nerve-wracking. I'd rather the last day than never, but I'd prefer like in that middle. That's
there you go. Problem is that they've done studies and it's U-shaped.
Yeah.
Like you get the most of the beginning and the end.
This time, the launch was so big that I got hyped up, and it's like you have that roller coaster. Yeah. And I really told myself, no, just chill out, because all your return customers trickled in over 2 months, but now they know and they just boom, and that's really what it was. I had a lot of return customers in week 1, so I flew past 1,000, and then it just kind of sit at 1,500 for a very long time, and then Indiegogo started kicking off, and then Kickstarter finally restarted. I was like, son of a gun. But this is really, my goal was 2,000. If I got 2,000, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's good. That's, if I can keep up that pace, then everything's a go-go.
Yeah.
And it'd probably have to get pretty low, like where I couldn't print it for me to stop anytime soon. So yeah, short of disaster, I hope to keep going.
Well, I hope, I think there's a reasonable chance, and I hope you do better this time than last time. And I hope you do better next time than this time.
Yeah. And also, I did in 1 month, getting that close, and still there's I have 1 month of it goes. You're probably not supposed to say this before it's over. Anyway, Indiegogo, it's in demand once it's over.
Yeah.
And so I have, see how much I can accrue through in demand the second month, because I'll spam everybody's timelines with the in demand as much as I do the other. So see if, I pick up some stragglers, and that could, even if it's short, I still did it in 30 days versus 60.
Yeah.
But it's still, I personally feel that I'll have far more return customers with number 2 than number 1. Number 1 had kind of real rough edges. So some people that are maybe too particular about art and like how the art is presented and stuff like that might have felt it was too rough for them or something like that. They're maybe not used to kind of in the further indie. Whereas 2, I put as much polish and stuff in it. So I feel like that won't be nearly as much of a problem. I figured out a lot of the style, how I want to present the comic, where the 1 was a lot of struggle of whether I wanted cartoon, like real toon look, or to reel it back into some realism, how to portray my black and white, which has been a struggle my whole life. And with number 2, I felt like I did a lot of practice in between and figured out how I like to portray black and white specifically for print. And so that was kind of a lot of breakthroughs led up to me starting number 2. So I think people will come away even more pleased with number 2 than number 1.
Very cool.
Good. All righty. Well, I think we need to kind of wrap it up there. Mr. Mole, thank you very much for showing up on being on the show with us.
Yes, sir.
All righty. We'll be back next week with some more reviews. And thank you, everybody, and have a good evening.